There it is. Alright guys, can you hear me now? Okay, yeah, it was weird with OBS. The music was turned down, and then it started reading again, and then I had to switch mic to something else and back, and it worked. So I don't know what the hell the deal was with that. All right, so let's go ahead and look at it. So what I was saying here was, you know, we use nav. We'll have it go via the bearing 2. The bearing 2 is the heading to the waypoint, essentially. Get off that shit. And so what you'll notice is the behavior of it. As you can see, it's like rotating around and stuff. It's not terrible, but what I want to do is when it gets within a certain distance of the point, I want it to mark the last bearing. And so, for example, let's bring up some paint and I'll show you here. So some basic navigation stuff here. Alright, so kind of some basic navigation stuff here is, so if we, let's put some points here. So if we say that is, you know, that is our end point and this is our starting point. Say the starting point is the green and our end point is the red point. And so what we want to do is we want to go from the green point to the red point. So there's a difference between a course and, I'm trying to think of the term. I'll think of the term eventually, my poor brain. Let's see. So, like, if we want to go from here to there, all right, one of the things you need to do, for example, when you're flying, is you need to put in a wind correction. And so you always need to ask the question, where is the wind when you're flying? Please stay that color, you scum. There we go. All right, and so you always need to ask the question, where is the wind? So let's say the wind's coming from here. So there's a difference between, you know, your heading and your track, and so you want to be on course. And so, for example, these systems work kind of like an ADF, and it always points at this, and it constantly refreshes and tells you, hey, the headings, you know, keep turning that heading to get it. And so as the wind's here, what we need to expect is our little ball here. I should have put all this here. Let me redo it. I'll put it on a layer. All right, so let's say we have our destinations are red. Goddamn, get on the thing. Okay, it's gonna dot out because of that. All right, our destination's here. All right, and then we have our starting point is here. All right, and then we have our line here, which is, we'll go like that, we'll go like this. So that is the course we want to go on. We want to go straight from here to there. And this is important, you know, when you're flying, say you have, for example, a mountain in the way, right? So if there's a mountain right here, right, you'd want to go around that mountain. So you need to have a proper course, you know. So if we know that, what did I just do? If we have two mountains here, we want to go between the mountains. So you need to stay on course. If you get off course, you're going to hit the mountains. And so there's an important thing with your track that you want to consider is, for example, if the wind's coming from here, you always have to think about when you're flying where the wind is. So if the wind is coming from there and you aim straight at your destination, what's going to happen is this is going to consistently move you. You're going to get blown like this as you're trying to do the track. So you're going to keep facing that red point and you'll eventually get there, but you're going to be doing an arc instead of a straight line. All right. And so that's essentially what we're doing is as we move, you know, if the wind's blowing us, it will constantly turn us. We're doing this arc. I don't really care to do the course. It doesn't really matter to me. But what we have to worry about there is it's constantly going to turn our heading. Now, as we get close to it, that's fine. We don't mind it arcing like that and getting close. But once it gets close, what's going to happen is as it passes the point, it's going to want to turn around and come back. And so the craft is going to essentially do this the whole time. And we don't want that. We want the craft to sit on top of the point and face in one direction. We don't want to keep rotating because this is going to be our camera platform. So we need to set that up. You notice how it's rotating, and that's because of that problem. Is it's as it moves around that point, it's right over the point, it's going to start moving. And so we want to fix that. And so I'll test a couple things. So we already have a system in there that it will blink a blinker when we get within half a nautical mile. And so we need to go in here and need to find that. Alright, Lewis here. I need to find this blinker. And so it'll blink when we get within half a nautical mile. Actually, don't need the blinker. We can do distance here. So where's distance? Here it is right here. So if... where are you? Okay, here's distance. So if the distance is less than 1 nautical mile in this case, it's going to end... that's not 0. It's going to blink here, and it's going to read out on channel 3. It's going to read out on channel 3. So what we want to do is we want to either report distance, or we need to figure out how I want to report this. So essentially what I want to do is when this gets within a certain range of that point, I want it to lock in the last bearing. Yeah, I don't know what happened with OBS. I'm just going to check up the chat. It was mostly people just saying that couldn't hear. Yeah, it was a weird OBS thing. I don't know why. So when we get within a certain distance, I want that to flash. So let's see what we have here. We're reading out here. I want to check all these channels. So this has the AP. Okay, so the AP pass-through is, what is it? It's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So 11 through 14. So this starts on 15, 16, 17, 18. So we should be able to add channel 19, I think. So we'll make it 5. We'll make that channel 19. Hopefully that doesn't have any issues. And so here is our distance right here. Right, this one here is distance in nautical miles. So we're going to put that right there. And that'll read out on channel 19. All right. All right, so that reads out on channel 19. And I'll update the microcontroller. I gotta go back in. And then that's gonna come out and it's gonna go to bearing micro out, which goes to the autopilot. So channel 19 is the channel we're looking for now. So let's go to the autopilot. And where are we at? Bearing panel out. Bearing at micro out right here. So we're gonna go to channel 18. 19 rather. So we're gonna go to, that's not the one. That's what we wanted. So here's 19. And so I'll keep it pretty, I'll keep it down to like 0.1 nautical mile. And I'm looking for a heading here. Where's my heading? So here's my heading. So this is bearing 2, all right? And what this is going to do is this is going to trigger it to a memory register. Alright, so we'll do a memory register. And I'll put the condition in here. So if this is less than... Alright, 0.1. So this is distance to heading to bearing lock. Alright, distance to bearing lock. So at 0.1 nautical miles, this is going to lock the last known heading. So, for example, as the wind is pushing us to the south there, our heading is, let's say we're going west, 270. As the wind is coming from the direct north, we're getting pushed further and further south, which is making our turn greater and greater. So our bearing 2 will be 270, it'll be 271, 272, 273, 274, 275, 270. Let's say it's 290 by the time we get there. As soon as we're within 0.1, it's going to lock it at 290 so that our heading doesn't keep oscillating like that. All right, so that's going to set that at this distance. That's going to store the bearing which is right there. Actually, let's do this. Alright, let's do that. That way this will still work even if I put in a manual heading. What is that? Composite number 5, what are you? Okay, so this here is heading anyway, so that's... It doesn't matter. It can go either way. So that's fine. This can go like this. And then that will go there. Alright. So what this is going to do is that's going to lock in the last heading that we put in there as soon as we get within 0.1 nautical miles. And so that's going to lock it in. And then if it is, what we'll do is a knot. So if it's not within that distance, we will reset the memory register. And that's the number to store, that's the number to run out. So that should hopefully keep the last heading in there. And then once we, say, put a new waypoint in, and now the distance is, say, 10 nautical miles, it's going to go back to that homing. It's called homing, that's what it is. So I'll bring up the picture really quick. But that's the difference between following a course and homing. So this was something you go over in instrument flight training. So, you know, this would be a course. So what a course does is a course accounts for the wind. So a course would go like this, and like I was saying, if there's 2 mountains here, you want to go on the course so you don't run on the mountains. And so you want to stay on course. That's being on course. This is homing when we go the arc. Now, we don't really care about homing in game too much. It doesn't really matter to us. But, you know, of course, in real life, you have to worry about being on airways and stuff like that. So, for example, you know, the reason why this would happen is what you do in real life is you put in what's known as a crab angle. And the crab angle would be like this. So if the wind is to our north, you put in a crab angle like so. And now, as you move, you stay on course because the plane is counteracting the wind like this. So the plane is actually flying sideways at all times. This is how planes are always flying, essentially. You know, if there's any wind, you're flying with a crab angle in there. All right, so that is hopefully going to fix that. And then there's a couple things I want to change. I want to play with some numbers on this. So let's go to autopilot here. So up in collective here, if you notice, it is dancing a little bit on us. It's, here, I'll show you. We'll go ahead and I'll show you, and then we'll see if it improves, so. Alright, so let's, I don't know why that restarted itself. Why? Oh, because the buttons are still selected over here, okay. Alright, let's take that on. Okay, I need to take some modes off here. We're going to be in trouble. Alright, so let's get this up to its altitude there. What's going on here? What happened here? Why is this misbehaving? Okay. Let's see. Let's try to shut it down and... Get around. Get around and get in the seat. I'm trying not to have this fall over. Alright. I want to stop it for right now. Alright, let's start it back up. So it's reporting all the stuff. 155 pounds is wrong. I have to fix that. Volts, battery. Probably have infinite electricity on. Let's kill that. Alright. Engine RPM's good. Oop, let's not hit the friggin' garage every time we try to leave this place. Why is it misbehaving now? Alright, let's shut down, and then I want to pull this. It's trying to immediately start up and then move, and so it's freaking itself out. Because the drone station is staying powered up, so. Now it's shut down. Alright, notice this oscillation. We're going to see how it oscillates here when we get up there. And you can really tell with the VSI. Oh, don't hit the outside. I can't really see. There we go. All right. So we'll put in an altitude. Let's do 500 is fine. Why is this not reading? Why is this not... What the hell is it doing, man? Okay. I need to reset the button because this button needed a reset signal, essentially. What is it doing, man? Kind of interested what the hell it's doing here. I need to get some more stuff in here. Heading hold is... The gyro, okay. Okay, the button is backwards now because it was preset, so now that's actually on now. So the button is backwards because of that, so... Alright, watch our VSI here. So vertical speed indicator, it's trying to hold 500. You notice how it's oscillating? So that means our collective p-value is too high. Alright, so I'm going to shut off all my modes here. Alright, and now I'm going to recall it. So it's just leaving in the last state is essentially what it's doing. And I did it again. I need to shut everything down. I keep friggin' forgetting. So. Now we should be able to recall this and have everything be in the correct off position. Alright, so that collective is oscillating, so we want to fix that oscillation. And so we're going to find collective in here. So where's collective? Here's collective. So here is our number 0.06. And so we're going to change that. We'll go to 0.03. And we'll test that number, see how that works for us. I have to go over here. All right. So see if the VSI is better and it's less jittery. It's not the end of the world, especially because we're not in it. It's a little bit nauseating when you're actually sitting in it that it does that, but less of a problem. The other thing, I could cut down some of the sensitivity in the gyro. And so there's 500. Let's do altitude hold. So you know it's still oscillating, so it could come down some more. I'm going to try to do it. Okay, so notice now, okay, it's holding. Alright, let's try it with the GPS. So let's go altitude hold, autopilot, UU. And then this is going to follow the ground. Let's grab that. Okay. And let's try doing it with we'll keep that. Actually, that was probably fine, really. Where's collective? Pitch PID. I think that's part of collective. So let's just put that back. And what we'll do here is we'll go into the gyro, and I don't have up down, do we? Probably coming up pitch. Let's go down to like 25. A little bit over, a little bit rambunctious there. All right, let's spawn that, and then let's test out the memory register there. Alright, so I want to see if it still oscillates when we get there. Yaw definitely needs a little bit of tuning as well. Alright. So let's check our RPM is good. Let's go ahead and we'll take off out of here. Alright. Go altitude, hold. Alright, we'll put in that GPS waypoint. That's good. Alright, nav is going to turn us to the bearing 2, I believe. Or we have to put GPS in as well. So nav GPS. So it's going to rotate us to that heading. And it's going to home there. It's going to continue to make that heading, the heading change. Why? What is it doing? I guess it's not. What the hell? What the hell is it doing? Okay, it's not reading the right bearing out to me. It's pointing at the 0, point in the map. That's the 0, point in the map, so I don't know why this isn't changing here. Problem is I'm running an autopilot setup on this, and I'm running an autopilot setup on the vehicle, so it's not ideal. I'll make sure headings work. Okay, there it goes. See, now we're within 0.1 and it changed over. So there's something up with the way the memory register is running. So notice it pointed to the bearing when we got within 0.1 nautical miles. Okay, so it's like it's doing a reset state on it, and now it's off. So let's click this. Alright, so something's up with that, why it's rotating now. I can put in a regular heading. I just want to get this ready for career build too. So let's go 090 heading. See, I can put in a manual heading to get it to hold, but I want to maintain the last bearing, so I have to screw with that. VSI is still oscillating a little. It's not the end of the world because, you know, so now you see it's stable. Alright, so it's very stable. Alright, so it's not too bad. It's a little bit off of how I like it, but it's not terrible. Alright, we'll go out and check on it. It's high enough I can't even hear it, so. So it's pretty stable there. I think it's alright. I just need to tune that system a little bit. Part of the issue is this keeps its constant state because this has stayed in the world, and I keep rebooting that, and so they're not on the same page essentially. All right, so that's not too bad. That's working all right. It's not perfect, but I don't need perfect. All right, so let's recall this. I'm gonna recall both of them. That will be a better way to test it. So let's recall this. Okay, and then let's recall this. All right, and so hopefully these are both in a more default state now. All right. All right, RPM is up. All right, altitude hold. All right, so when I change this over, it should give me the right bearing now. So GPS, it's not. Okay. It's working in that, but it's not showing me the right heading here, so I don't know what the deal is. Let's see if it turns to the correct direction now. It doesn't. Okay, it's turning north-north there. Huh. Not sure why it's doing this. Let's watch it arrive. Now, we're in the fine-tuning phase, so it actually would probably be beneficial to get it out there and test it. But here comes that mushroom. Mushroom, mushroom. Badger, 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 mushroom, mushroom. Alright, so that works well. Alright, so we'll work on that a little bit later. Let's try, what do I want to do next? I want to fix the cameras, so we'll respawn this, and then I'll grab the mushroom, and we'll work on the cameras and the mushroom. Main purpose is observation. It's a observation drone. Theoretically, I could add some sort of water system on here, but I wanted to get, like, one of the main things, too, is to get all the drone controller panels set up so that, for example, I want to make a water bomber drone at some point, and that will, I can take all the microcontrollers once they work perfectly or, you know, well enough, and then I can start making other stuff. So part of it's that, it's a thought experiment, but it's also, this is mostly an observation platform. So since Triton is, you know, low to the ground, when you're out doing a search, you know, the higher you can get, of course, the better visibility you have, and so that's part of it, is to have that visibility. All right, so let's go ahead and let's play with this camera a little bit here. So let's go blank, grab the black microcontroller here. We'll stick it on top. All right, this is going to be... Let's see. Composite. Radio. All right, this is going to be composite output. This is going to the... let's see, meet camera. All right. I need on-off output, that's FLIR. And this is going to be number output, this is FOV. Okay. Yep, it's diesel powered. Yeah, if you're asking me a question, make sure you do the Captain Karkles or I'll never see it. It's just, I can't read literally every message, especially people are talking amongst themselves, so it makes it easier. If you're talking to me, you just put an Captain Karkles. Yeah, I have a coaxial helicopter tutorial if you need it there, FS. FOV, FLIR, medium camera, radio, okay. Alright, so we need, let's see, 2 up-down counters. I think what I'll do is run the seat controls. That's what I think what I'll do. Let's run the seat controls for the camera. No, I can't do that. Nope, can't do that. Not like that. Alright, that's fine. Come on, man. Highlight everything. Ugh, be obnoxious here. Right. Alright, so this is going to be for the X and Y on the camera. Then we'll do Alright, so there's going to be FOV there, and then we'll do a final button here for the FLIR so that we can operate at night. But especially like at night, it's going to be nice to be able to go out and, for example, preempt Triton and go out ahead of the missions. So we'll save this here. So this is... So I want to figure out what I can send this out on here. Okay, good. Symmetry's not on. All right, so this is going to be arrow button up, cam up, push up 1, cam down, down. I'm not going to bother with the numbers yet. I have to figure out what numbers I can use. Left. Okay. And then what do I want? I want zoom in, zoom out. So let's do clear, button, toggle, indicator, clear, zoom, zoom. All right. So that's cam controls there. And I need to see what I have free, so. Should be whatever comes after this end of this panel here. So what's that end on? 16. So 24. Okay, that's within the range, so that works. 17. Hopefully I don't have anything else written on here that I need. 18. 19. 20. I might not do this indicator. We'll do none for now. How was that? 21, 22, 23, 24. I need to check into this panel, see what the hell this is doing now. Okay, that goes seat. Seat goes in there, and then what is that? So the radio's coming in there. That's gonna go to here, probably. Let's check this, make sure I didn't just W as a freak. I did. Nope, I didn't. Okay, that's fine. So that's 11. What is it? Start channel. This is 16. Alright, that's fine. Okay, so we're good. So 17 through 24 should work. Alright, 17 through 24. What is that? Okay, that's fine. That's getting converted. Alright. So 17 through 24 should work. So this is then going to go from here to here. There. There. Okay. So that should hopefully work. The cameras. Let's open up Shroom. I don't want the autosave. I want the save. Alright, so let's see. 18. Nope, this is going to be 23, 24. Clear is going to be 21. Which is the receiver radio. Got to be it here. Yep, data receive. This is going to the medium camera here, which is right there. And it's going to there, and this is going to, if I can get to it, there. Alright. Let's make sure it's electrified. It should be okay. Let's go try to control that camera. That's kind of its main job, is being a camera controller. So. There's my mouse. There it is. 1, 2, 4. I'm just training. I forgot. I took the capture cursor off, so that should come back at some point here. Alright, so let's see, we have... What the fuck? How did that not get saved? You gotta be kidding me, man. I just grabbed the wrong one. Thought it was not saved. That would have been frickin' annoying, man. Alright, so cam up. These are not powered. We're gonna do infinite electricity for now. There we go. Okay. Come on, come on, come on. Get in the seat. I gotta move all those basilicious gauges there. They're keep tripping over them trying to get in. All right. So that is okay. So this is fine. These are just backwards. So it's looking left, right, fine. This is again another great thing with a gimbal update was you used to have to put a big garish bunch of pivots and nonsense on this. And then left, right is just up, down. So let's see. So right is, left is right, or up is, Jesus Christ, it's gonna be a long day. Up is right. Up, right. U is right. Okay, so down is left. Left is up. And then right is down. Alright, that'll be helpful. Okay. Theoretically, I could do this with the seat look, but I'd have to put a lock in there. Alright, so then we want to do FLIR. Okay, then we want to zoom in. And we'll just get rid of FLIR for now. Zoom out. Alright, so that all works. Alright, good. So just, it's mostly moving them around, so. So let's grab, let's fix this electric here while I'm here. Okay. Save this. I want to get this installed into Triton so it can be used. Let's just spawn it instead. Okay. We'll fix this over here and we'll test it. Get that installed. I want to do one more thing with this, but I'm going to fix this. So up is right. So up is this one. So this is going right. So which one do I want to be right? Right should be, was it 17, 18, 19, 20. 20. So this is, I'll just do this because that will not confuse me. Do that. All right. And then this one here is, what is, 18 is, down is left. So left is, was left 19. Okay, so this should be left here. Okay. And then this is up. And then that should be the last one. Yep. Okay, so hopefully that fixes that. Let's quickly update that, spawn it, test it. Up. Haha, of course they're backwards. These suck. Alright, those need to be inverted. These probably need to be inverted as well. Nope, those are good. Okay, so the up-downs need to be fixed. Alright, shocker there. I didn't spawn. Just spawn the thing, please. Thank you. Alright, so left, right are inverted. That's these, okay. Which one? No, these are right. God damn it. Brain, my poor brain. Go like this. It was these that were inverted, okay. Go test them again. I can't tell if it's going up or down. What the hell is it doing? They're inverted. Okay. Alright, so I invert all of them now. Alright. Shocker. They're all inverted now. Alright, just flip them all. Up, down, left, right, zoom, zoom, clear, clear. Okay, beautiful. All right, and then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make this make that, what are we talking, that is right there, would be switch cam. $22. So that'll be switch cam. And then what I want to do is I'm going to put the bottom cam on here. And so that'll be for landing. I need that landing cam to be able to be turned on, so we'll do it this way. All right, let's see where I have where I can delete. I can delete all of this, so I can go to a 6-banger. Trying to debate if I want to bring these cameras up to match that one, but all right, so what we'll do here is we'll go I'm gonna run a space here. Actually, no, I'm good. What is it, a 3x3? 3x3, okay, we're good. All right, I was afraid I was gonna run out of space. So this can actually be a 3x3, so I need to add 3 nodes. Bum, bum, bum. All right, so this is going to be video input. This is going to be forward cam. Video input. This is going to be bottom cam. Okay. And then this is going to be video output. All right. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to make a switch box here for these cameras here. So. Alright, and then what did I say it was? 22, 22. 22. Alright, so default will be forward cam, bottom cam will be the switched one. That will go there. Okay. Alright, so this one here, where is the camera? This one goes to this, this transmit node here is going to go to that transmit node. This is going to go to forward. This is going to go to the bottom cam here, which is right. What? Am I already recording that out? Interesting. Interesting. I'm trying to think. I'm already sending that out. Okay. So we don't need to swap it. Okay, so that's fine. Let's just get rid of all that crap then. I don't need to swap it then. What I do need to put is 22 needs to be disconnect, so we'll get rid of that. Bing, bing, bing. Okay, so 22 will be disconnect. So I need a button to disconnect the connector. Disconnect. Alright, so this disconnect here will go to these two connectors there. That'll give me a little space for more microcontrollers if I need it as well. Alright. These are powered, correct? Alright. So this is saving this one. Need to load in the drone. Alright, so I need another camera for the bottom view. I think how I want to set that up. So I could put it on... See, I have a camera screen on here. I'll stick it on here. Let's see, where is the camera feed? That's there. Where is... Okay, I need to put the input back on. I think it gets plugged in here. Bearing monitor. Yeah, it's got to be here, so, alright. Docking cam. Where does that come in here? Where the hell am I here? Where is the spawner? That's why I start marking all my spawners. Make it there. It is right here. Okay. Right in the middle of the build. Give me the node. It should go there, I think. Alright. Alright, so I need to find the video input. This one here is bottom. That will go there. Oh, come on, man. Just drag it. There we go. This will go here. Let's go ahead and we'll save this. Right, we'll load up the shrimmage. This is just pretty much, it'll be useful for other stuff, but I could flip it here too. What the hell's going on now? I disconnected it from the shroom. That's fine. I can still do this test and then I'll fix that when I get back. Alright. What's that? Why is that brown? Okay, I can't tell if that's running, so... I'm just gonna need to take off the ground to see if this is actually reporting or not. It appears it's not. Okay. That's fine. Let's figure that out in a second here. Make sure this is electrified. It is. Okay, that's good. Alright, this is... Alright, let's, it's probably the issue. What is all this crap? Okay, that's fine. Spawn this and then go back to Shroom. It's probably an issue on Shroom that needs to be fixed. Alright, so camera work, this needs to be reconnected to this one here. Yep, okay, and then where's the bottom cam go? Bottom cam goes to this one here. Okay, what is that? AP monitor, don't need that. Trying to think what's wrong here. So this is transmitting out on this. See what freak that is. I can't see anything in here. Wow, I can't see anything. Alright. So it's this back camera unit. Alright, let's see, where is this? That's there, that is V4. V4, let's check the freak on that. V4 is 9872. Okay. 9872. Let's make sure it's receiving properly. So I don't know why this is reading, why that's showing brown. That's weird. That shouldn't have a brown background. I don't know why it's running a brown background on that. That's interesting. Oh, I know why. That was the wrong video connect there. I did the wrong video connect here, so that's why. Okay. I connect, it's doing the video as a background brown. I don't want that. Okay. Okay, it should, where is it? Go in here, maybe? I think this is the right one. I have 3 Luas here, so I think it's this one. Let's try this now. I thought I had 3 Luas, then I didn't see it. There we go. Alright, so that should be showing the bottom of that, so that works. Okay, so let's go AP, let's start it. I might still put switch boxes on the drone controller so that I can change this. How's it going there, officer? I'll catch you check up with chat in a minute here, guys. I'm not trying to ignore you. If I get distracted, I start forgetting stuff. Alright, good. So now we have the docking camera. Alright, let's set this up. What do we want here? 500 feet. Altitude hold. Let me get myself moving here, and then I will start checking chat as everything's kind of working here. So I did a little work. I did a couple things on Triton last night, just tiny little things. Should have a career build series out tomorrow. I'm probably not going to be able to stream tomorrow. Alright, let me catch up with chat. Again, if you're going to ask me a question, just try to do the @Captain Karkles. That just makes it a lot easier for me to find. I know you guys aren't talking to each other. I can go over some of this coax stuff too, but if you watch my coaxial helicopter tutorial, I go through all that. Essentially what I'm doing is the drone controller is all the microcontrollers for that drone controller. The drone controller is going to get slotted into Triton. All of its microcontrollers are going with it. And then there's plenty of room on Triton for antennas. The antennas are good detailing anyway. So I have a bunch of antennas on the mast that don't do anything anyway. And so that's all going there. I'm doing well there, officer. How are you? Just working on the drone again. All right, so Triton is in. Let's try to land on Triton. So I'll manually fly us over there. Altitude hold is all we have on. That's good. Okay, there we go. I can fly this pretty rambunctiously too. It's not screaming fast, but it's pretty fast. So, well, you can see that's reasonably fast here. Alright, and then, so we have the bottom camera on. That can't FLIR at the moment, but I might add that functionality later. Alright, so there's Triton. I might move those side cameras up. They'll see the mushroom of it, but cuts my visibility, but they'll all be on the same plane. So I don't know, I haven't decided yet. The center one zooms anyways. Oh, I need to take off altitude hold. No wonder it's fighting me. Alright, so we're going to land on Triton. Wowza. Get rid of these binoculars. And so I think this is going to live in the garage bay. I'm not sure. And then take it out. I think it's too big, especially with the mast up, to be landing on the roof. be close there. Close. A little bit overreactive on collective, so I need to fix that a little bit still. I need to use the front camera a little bit more. I'm using the bottom too much. I need to align first with the front. There we go. So I'm aligning on the crane, using the crane, and then I'm kind of come in. Whoa, I'm over controlling here. I need to cut the seat sensitivity down too. The seat's a little bit sensitive. This was since you came off Chickadee, so you know it's all set up to run with a larger craft that's going to need more propeller deviation in order to move it. This is a much lighter craft, so there we go. Oh, I was right on the money there for a second. There we go. Come on, come on, come on, come on. A little bit of stutter on the collective is annoying. Makes it hard to align it. Especially the front camera, the field of view, I think it's like 27 and change is the 1-to-1 field of view. So I'm actually have too little of a field of view, so my perception on the front's a little bit wonky. There we go. All right. There we go. So we're locked on. Let me fix the perception on this. So field of view should be like 27% or something. So like if you look here, you can see this cuts off the front there. So it needs to be a little bit kind of like not quite there. It needs to be back more. I'm trying to think where to put it. Right about there is probably right. These are on the high end, but so that is attached to Triton there. So you can see that's the nice thing with these lugs is they move up and down, so they it helps with grabbing and it helps with braking stuff. So we'll shut down the engine. So that uses the same connection system that everything else has, so that's why I put it on there. Let's get a quick pick. So not too bad. I need to fix that collective. It's a little bit iffy, and that's what causes problems here, so. Alright, so the mushroom will sit there, and then I need to put on... I should be able to grab that and put it into the garage. The other thing I can do is I don't know how tall it is. It might fit underneath here. That's another thought. But, yeah, so it could fit out here. And so, the problem is if I have a... It doesn't necessarily need to take off from the pad. So, for example, I could land... If I don't have a container on, I can land it here. You know, I have a bunch of options here. I might try to land it on the roof here. Let's put the mast up, see if I can get in there with the mast up. Infinite electricity on. It is. Okay, good. Check the lighting here. I think I fixed all the lighting on the mast. I did. Okay. So we'll move this. I'm going to see where this can possibly go. Bow landing is another thought. The problem is when it's moving, it's not easy to land on the bow because of the ship's essentially following you. You know, with the back here, you know, I can overshoot a little bit, undershoot, and there's not a lot around, so. Let me see if I can get this camera aligned, because what I'll do is I'll make the default position of the camera line up, maybe. Like, that's not too bad. That's pretty close. What I could do is I could move the other cameras up and then have them all tilt down at the same rate to start. That could be something as well as their center position. That's another thing I could do. Alright, so let's go ahead and we're up and running. Okay, detach. So switch cam allows me to detach from the pad now. So I need to change it from switch cam, but let's see where else we can park this. So of course it could go in any of the containers, but what I want to do is I want to be able to operate this while I'm fully loaded. So I need to be able to operate while I have a vehicle on the pad and I have containers on the deck. So the nice thing is this is pretty much equally strafable and fast, left, right, up, so I can fly sideways reasonably well with this. And so let's see if I can land it on the roof here. So one of the spots considered was right behind these water cannons. Let me just put a little bit of down trim, and I'm going to trim it down until you see the VSI is right on the... Yeah, that's an excessive amount. Oops, see, it didn't want to do it when I was holding it. Okay. So let's see, let's get this up. Oh, did you break? I have damage on, unfortunately. Did you break, scum? No, it's running. It's just probably stuck on something. Kind of jammed in there a little bit. So the other thought is landing on the bow. At one point I was like, could I put a garage in here? But I'm not going to be able to put a garage in there for it, I don't think. But it can also land on the bow, so what I might do... Oh, Jesus Christ. I might put a... So, helipads, their orientation is based on the H. So if you're supposed to come in like this, you know, you'll align with the H. Sometimes you'll see an H sideways, well, that means the helicopter's supposed to come in here. So what I could do is put a side pad on here and come in and land here. That would be kind of nice detailing. And then up here is where I want the bow mast, if I end up putting it on there. You don't need it legally with the size of Triton, but the real ship it's based off of is longer. You know, I wanted Triton to fit in a normal base, so I shrunk it a little bit. Okay, so we're broken at the moment, so I can't get that to behave itself. Launch a new one. Let's get over here before that thing crashes again. Okay. Let's try to land on the bow. All right. What is this thing doing? Why is it... And now I have, like, no control on the collective. I don't know why it's doing this. I have no control on the collective again. Manual control, so that's weird. I think it has to do with me spawning it. It's trying to stay in the last state that it was in. I need to, like, respawn both things, or else it gets confused, so... I'm just manually flying it now. Ah, you suck. Alright. I'm gonna have to respawn it and get a new one here. So let's get out of this. Let's respawn that. Let's then bring the mushroom back. Alright. Now let's head back here and re-grab it. And so I think we'll put a helipad on the bow. And it can either land on the pad or we'll land on the bow. Wow, what did I just do that for? Okay. So let's go UU. Let's not do UU. Let's go UU. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. AP, we're powered up. Okay. The other thing that could be causing some of this jitter is, see, like, I don't have any collective, really. Like, I'm pressing on my collective. That could be it. That was it. The tiny imperceptible bit of trim, and I couldn't control it, so it was just a trim issue. I hate that the trim screws that up. Pretty fast. I need to fix the speed on there, so I'll probably end up having to report the put the wind speed indicator on there if I want the... Really don't need the turn slip indicator, but yeah, I might as well put it on there. Pretty fast. When it automates its movement, it's not that fast because I think it's a little bit more conservative on its motions, and it's trying to maintain altitude. Like I'll accept a little bit of deviation when I'm trying to fly it myself. One thing I'd love them to add is VR goggles in game. So like in game there'd be VR goggles, and what would essentially happen is it would be the monitor view, and so you would see the camera, and that way you could fly via that. And so it'd be like a handheld remote with VR goggles that would so it'd be like having a seat, but you'd have VR goggles on to be able to hook to monitors. That would be really cool. Alright, so we should be able to fit this in the bow, no problem. So maybe a helipad with a sideways helipad with the connection system there. Alright, let's go ahead and we'll shut the engine down. Fly over, see how she looks. So yeah, so that's pretty good there. That fits well. Yeah, I'm digging that. And it's probably more likely I can land on this pretty well if I'm going sideways than backwards. So that works pretty well, actually. So I like that. So especially with the new pressurization update, I can't wait to get into some submarines. And so I want to make some ROV submarines as well. That'd be fun. So it's one of, it's one of the things that I've been kind of, lacking for inspiration here and there. And so that's one thing that kind of brought some of it back, was just the... getting this drone going now. There's a bunch of things I want to build, so it's sometimes you need a little bit of inspiration to get going again. Let's see, what's my dimensions on here? I don't know how I could shrink this. I want it to look the same, and might be able to fit it all in there. Let's see. What's underneath that? I need to worry about the attachment system. Okay, so that's actually literally over the drone room. Let's get a space. I want to figure the space out on this here. I'll probably put a little bit... I could put a different attachment system on there, but then it's not standardized anymore, so... the one on the board. For now. So I might, I don't know, I might take out, I might just keep this circle. I don't think I like the square, so. Square works well on the square pad in the back, but I don't like it on the side here, on the middle here. Let's go like this. Okay. It's asymmetrical a little bit, so I need to think of that as well. Some of these are annoying. Some of these are way pixelated. Okay, these are. Oh, that's why. Okay. Let me leave those. Those are attachment points. Okay. I don't know. I might put a different attachment system on this. I don't have the headspace to put that other attachment system in here because I need to take up a bunch of my drone room. I could put like a fake closet in there to hide the drone connection, or that's something I could do as well. I just want to kind of see how this looks. Yeah, I'm digging that. Definitely the circle's better. I think that's a good place for the drones, to go in the front like this in the bow. See where the connection system goes in. Ah, it's right in here, isn't it? That's gross. Nope, the connection system would go right in the middle of the drone room, so that could be interesting. It might fit in there, might not. It might be obnoxious. Having the connection system takes up quite a bit of space. It doesn't need to be as long as the other one, but I kind of want to make it so that if I do have a standard vehicle I can fit up front, I put it on there. Though I don't want to break the standard too much, so we'll see. So I'm happy with this drone. This came out nice. It's going to be nice to get some other remotely operated vehicles. I was looking to see if I could make that container one remote, but it's more of a pain than it's helpful. It's better to do it manually and be there and set up the containers and get them ready. So you watch the career build series, will come out tomorrow. I go and use that and put some containers on Triton, get that thing loaded on Triton so it fits well in the garage. Might hook the Connect system up to this and put it in that drone room. There's a bunch of space in that drone room, more than I really need, so we'll see how it fleshes out in there. It might fit in there fine, and then just kind of block out the space, so kind of actually maybe make the space a little bit more interesting. They're not too shabby. That looks pretty good, I think. I gotta add some good detail. Let's try to add this in. I need to delete something over here. This was a... So this is the system here. So it's pretty simple the way that this connects. So these are just linear tracks, and they're set to 0 strength. So these will go up and down. These will just free float up and down. And so what happens is these lugs here are those, as you can see. And so the connectors act like magnets, so those will pull up, and that allows it to yaw. It has no flexibility yaw. The plane or whatever can generally tip forward back, and then that allows it to, as you get close, it will grab you. And then when you let go, and so as the vehicle, because one thing you don't want to do is, if you've ever built one of the hovercraft or whatever using the wheel glitch, if a wheel glitches into a block, it causes it to float. And so you don't want the wheels glitching in the block, so this allows this to, as you're, for example, hitting waves, it doesn't force your wheels into the ground. So it works pretty well. A little bit cumbersome size-wise, but it works well. Okay, let's grab one of these, and we'll see how it looks in the room there. Okay. And then this has a distance sensor. That's what turns on all the lights. But I do think it's kind of cool. This is the drone room's right underneath this too, so. Make sure it's facing the right direction here. Alignment looks right. The alignment does look right. Okay. Alright, so that is in there, and then the drone room is down here, so this would be sticking into the drone room, which I'm not a huge fan of, but let's grab one of the drone, let's grab the drone controller to see what it looks like in there, space-wise. Yeah, of course the antennas aren't stained, but yeah, so that will fit a couple of these drone stations in here. So I could fit one there, fit one there if I need to have multiples. Oh, we'll show you how I like it. That's the connectors here are the only issue I'm having. That's not doesn't thrill me, but yeah, they don't need to be that far. They don't need to have that much flexibility either. I could make them shorter, but space-wise, that's not too bad. So let's go ahead and save this. We read some chat. You can always daisy chain your composites through to have more space if you're having troubles spacing out stuff. Make sure this mushroom's the latest save. Alright, let's go ahead and grab Chickadee. I doubt Chickadee will fit on that front pad, but that will also, that gives me a little bit of inspiration to go and make some smaller craft too, so. It's kind of the old, you know, build it and they will come, you know, you build something, well then you want to build stuff to work with it, you know. So it's like you build a small pad on the front, you want to build some craft that can land on it. So for golf, this is what I mean by horizontal takeoff. This is a horizontal takeoff. There we go, horizontal takeoff. Alright, let's put these all the way up. Okay, we all the way up, we're all the way up. Let's see, 3 all the way up. There we go. Alright, let's try to land on the front pad. We're probably a little bit too big for the, I'm afraid of hitting the propellers, but You know, I would really love to see the devs put some small propellers in there. Like a 3x1 propeller would be fantastic. You know, of course, if you did the circle, it would be bigger. But, you know, a 3x1 propeller would allow us to make some really tiny drones. You know, you look at these. These are min size. And what are we talking there? 4. So those are like 9 across, maybe. 8, maybe 7 to 9 across. And that's about as small as we can get. And so that's, you know, it's fine with a craft like this, but you want to get something tiny like a drone. It's just, you can't do it, you know. And so that's kind of suckeroni. You know, same thing with some of the propellers is like the smallest boat propeller we get in game is a 3x1, plus then you have to have power, so it's actually 4x1 is the smallest space you can make. It'd be nice if they had a propeller that was 1x1, and then, you know, if you added on a connection, now it's a 2x1, you could add a motor directly to it. So, like, yeah, this is not getting on there. I have some tiny little helicopters that will go. Yeah, this is too wide. Because this is the width of the other pad, but you can kind of see... You know, I do like the look of the new pad on the front. That looks nice. I like that. But Chickadee flies much better now with the new system on there. And then Chickadee has the same monitor there for underneath. But it's nice to have a standardized system for all of them. You know, I don't know how I feel about having the mechanism sitting in that room like that, but I want the attached mechanism. I could, since I'm probably not going to get these in there, what I could do is I could come up with a second standard for smaller craft that is a little bit less cumbersome. At least it wouldn't be as, like with this, you need, because of, for example, like Katydid has pretty long landing gear, and because Katydid has long landing gear, I need the arms on this connection system to be reasonably long. So, like, for example, here I'll fly with this on. So see how high I can get? So that has 2 blocks above. And that's because, like, Katydid sits higher, so it needs the 2 blocks. This sits lower, so 1 block up would be fine. You can see it's about half a block, so I can make this even go up by just the 1 block, and we'd be fine. So the drones could be on a smaller standard where they don't go up as much. So that's something I could do. I could also fake it a little bit, and I could put the actual connections in the walls. So that's something I could do. I could do a couple of those things to really shrink that down, because there's no way I'm getting my larger vehicles in here anyway. So, like, you can kind of tell golf was set up for, you know, it's this size, essentially. So, like, let me, so, like, one thing on golf, for those participating in golf, like, for example, you'll notice this sticks past 1, but this only goes 2, 3 blocks back, so you could go 4 blocks is the limit. And so if you push this one back a block, it fits within the golf requirement. So this was kind of the template for the golf requirement. And again, it's keep it small. It's, you know, it's kind of like, I really enjoy Big Men's Challenge because you have that size constraint on there. And so that's part of why I want it size constrained. Is 1, I want it to fit in the pad. It needs to fit in the pad. And 2, it, you know, it kind of, it's a challenge. It shows off some skill, and it's a little bit of area to work on with learning how to build them that way. But yar. So I think the mushroom's good. So that'll be fun to be able to use it. And so, like, you know, I still think the best way to figure out what your builds need is to put them in a career game and test them out. So mushroom is going to be in the career build series, and I'll figure out what else it needs. Shroom. Yeah, so that's, you know, that's another thing, like, you know, Thermite's talking about how it'd be cool to have components meant for drones. Yeah, you know, definitely, like, you think about, let's look at some drone pics here. You know, again, you know, the best way to get this in there is to post on the official bug tracker. You know, you see so many people posting in Reddit and all these other places. You got to go to the right place if you want them to consider it and star it. The best thing you do is sit down and go through there and find the things you want and support them. Like there are some things with 48 stars on them, and the devs can usually look at that and say, "Oh, that's like a week's work. We could do that. A lot of people want that, and it's a crowd pleaser." Some of the grouches have a delusion that the devs are trying to be jerks. They're not. They're trying to have a successful game. You think about like they talk about Space DLC. They've been working on it for years. And so it's like when people are like, "Oh no, do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, do that." Imagine if that was running the company. You can't do that. You need to have a coherent message and you say, "Okay, it's going to take us 2 or more years to do this Space DLC. This is what people voted on. This is what we need." Even if 100% of the people who voted for Space left the game, the devs have already committed years into it. They have to finish it. That's not smart business not to. But like looking at these drones, like they don't need to be tiny, tiny, but like look at that. That's probably a 1x3. If they had something like that, that would be really cool. One thing the devs have been doing lately, and you can kind of see it in some of the things they've been doing, is they've been moving more to composite. So the newer blocks are coming out with essentially miniaturization standard. The physics block being the biggest of that. I've shrunk so many of my panels, like literally, I've probably taken out 20, 30 nodes out of some of even my smaller builds by just adding the physics sensor in there. Let's quickly grab something here. So, like, if you look at, try to find an autopilot panel. Let's find, but this should be saved. Let's save it, make sure that's the latest and greatest. All right, so like, let's grab, I can't go grab Katie in there. Trying to grab it like an oldish build with bearing and microcontroller. Katie, like the earlier versions of Katie have it. So like, if you look at Katie's autopilot, it's absolutely enormous. And it makes it hard to build small builds. This is how big the autopilot is. And a lot of this autopilot can now go because of the physics sensor. So for example, we have vertical speed gone. Linear speed gone, angular speed gone, pitch tilt gone, altimeter gone, compass gone, roll tilt gone. All of those, so it'd be this gone, this gone, this gone. Where are we at here? That's gone, that's gone, that's gone, that's gone. Like, look at all, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spaces gone just because of that one block they did. And then if we look at, it's back here, bearing panel, GPS X and Y are both gone. Compass is gone. So that right there, so 3 more, so what are we up to? 10. 10 are gone on that. What's this microcontroller here? Do we need RPS starter? Probably nothing really on here. So you can see how like you can really shrink these builds down. So like they're going to a good standard with that. Like there are some things that are kind of obnoxious that's low-hanging fruit they could fix. For example, this is what I think they should do with tanks and fluid meters. So here we have a tank, right? And so one of the things they kind of want a physicalized space. So if you look here, I'm trying to find something with has 2 spaces. So like here, like a medium camera. Medium camera is a good example. Where is it? Medium camera right here. So like if we look at the actual nodes, this has a number node, a on-off node, a Boolean, and it has a composite. The composite is sitting on top of that. They can stack these as long as they're not these data nodes. They can't stack the data nodes. They're physicalized connections. But if they don't need these 2 nodes. All they need is this one composite node, and they could do this one composite node for the medium camera, and guess what? It doesn't need to be 2 blocks anymore. It could be 1 block. So that would shrink that down. If we look at these fluid tanks, it reports out its tank contents. What I would like to see them do is this. They could turn it into a composite. They don't need to, but say they added one of these nodes, these input nodes, on here. What we could do is, so like every time I need to do a fuel, so I generally have more than 1 fuel tank for redundancy. and just to get more fuel. So like if I have to, hopefully that goes the right direction. Okay, good. So if I want to add these two tanks together and report my entire fuel complement, I have to do this. I have to go in here. I have to go 1, 2, 3, and I have to add 3 nodes. So I need to take tank in, tank out. So I need to report tank in, tank out. So not only am I taking up 4 blocks for the tanks themselves, but then I need 3 blocks just to report this. And then I'm actually adding a 4th block because this is going to then go to, say, another panel. And so right there, we now have all that going on there. So that's a lot of space. So what my recommendation would be is add one of these inputs right here. And so then what you could do is daisy chain your tanks. So you have 2 tanks. You would take this, daisy chain it here, and it would automatically add this to this contents. So every time you daisy chained it, it would have an embedded add. So let's say this is 10 liters, hook it to this. Well, now this one would read out 10 plus 10. There, you put a 3rd one on, right? A 3rd one, I'd need to add 1 more node on here. Instead, you'd go daisy chain, and then it would read it out as 30 liters. So that would be a really good thing. And then like on the fluid ports, the fluid meters, let's just do meter. So here's the meter, right? We have the tank, the fluid level, and the fluid capacity. I would add another node that would give us, they could change this just to composite. They could change all of these to composite, would be beneficial. But, if you add composite, right now this has 2 nodes, right? This is a 1 block with 2 nodes, so they can do it apparently. The thing though is this is literally something physicalized because it looks like a 1 by 1, but it's actually a 1 by 2 because you can't put anything in front of it. So that's actually a 1 by 2. That's why this can have 2 nodes. And so what they could do is turn this into a composite and make this a composite out, make this a composite in. And then what you could do is if I have 2 tanks that are custom tanks, again, I would go like this. I would daisy chain the composite to the daisy chain, and then I would go out. And now I can add my tanks together without having it. So like little things like that would, like you could reduce the number of microcontroller slots by huge numbers. You could take out 25% of your microcontroller space by doing that, and that would really help you a lot. So that's a big thing. So like, like FS was saying that used to use a lot of ads before microcontrollers. Before there were microcontrollers, you imagine how much space things took up. And so microcontrollers were a step in the right direction. Things like this would help. For example, I would love to see this. Okay, so here we have a pipe straight and closed. All right? Pipe straight and closed. There is no node on here. This is a great opportunity for the devs to add a composite node onto any of these pipe segments. Put them on every single pipe segment, okay? And this is what I would recommend they add. Valves. And don't do on-off valves. Do variable valves because you could always do a numerical switch box from 0 to 1, right? And just, instantly turn the valve. But, for example, like in Chickadee. So here's Chickadee. I'm having an issue with Chickadee where, for example, the port tank drains first. So when I'm flying Chickadee, if I can move faster, there we go. So if I'm flying Chickadee around, let me get the power on, you can see it actually. So if I'm flying Chickadee around, you notice we have our fuel tanks. This tank drains first, and then this one does it. Well, it makes me a little bit crooked while I'm flying. And the problem is, if I wanted to add a valve to Chickadee, it is absolutely enormous. So this is the valve, and the valve pretty much takes up a 2 by 2 space. So this is how big the valve is. So I would have to put one of these on each of my fuel tanks. So it takes up this much space in a small build to just valve the fuel tank. So I'm not going to do that. And so what they could do, and what I wish they would do, is if they took one of these and put a composite on there, and we could feed in information, that would allow me to be able to set a valve on there and put it anywhere. So for example, I could valve the engines here. I could valve, like for example, this is where the fuel tanks come up. So I could, any of these could be a valve. You know, I would say they would want to do it as a separate thing. So when you go into the view here, you don't have, you know, 1,000 nodes because it would be confusing. But they could easily add one, you know, a inline fuel valve like this that's a 1x1 with a composite. And I could send, okay, if, you know, if this tank is less than 10% of the other tank, close the valve and it would just drain the other tank and keep them balanced. So like little stuff like that for a miniaturization pass, I think would be awesome in game. You know, for example, they even put this manual valve here. Look at this. We have a manual valve here, right? That valve is a 1x1. That is fantastic. All they have to do is add a, so they could like literally just make this same valve and just put a trigger mechanism on this, and now it's a 1x1. But by doing it this way, you can do it enclosed. So I would like to see, you know, I like to see all the options. You know, I think those are kind of some low-hanging fruits. Like, what else could they shrink it, do some stuff like that? But little stuff like that. So I'm actually interested in the pressurization update. We'll see how they're doing some of this stuff. Maybe they are actually working on some of these valves. And again, you know, I would say this pressurization update was a lot of work and very long coming. It's a lot of stuff, so it wouldn't surprise me if that was part of the years that this has taken to get this out, you know. And so that would make sense to me if that comes with some of the stuff. So we'll see, you know. I bet you they have, you know, if they've been working on space for years, imagine what else they've been working on for years that won't come to us for years, right? They're already talking through 2024. They probably have, you know, at least a couple major updates. So a lot of this stuff, you know, I think some of the people who are like overly grouchy about this stuff, it's like, dude, wait, they have a lot of stuff, you know, coming out. It's just, you know, it's not ready and it's going to take years to do. But like a lot of this stuff is big. Like, for example, another thing, you know, the physics sensor. We used to have to put a compass sensor on everything. You can't put anything on top of the compass sensor. So that's a 2x1 block gone. So like I took out at least 10 nodes, so that's 10 fewer spaces in my build. Plus, that was 10 actual physicalized sensors. So that's 20 nodes gone and catered by putting in a physics sensor. So the physics sensor was a huge update. You know, we talk about the gimbal update. This is how we used to have to do any zoomable camera was like this. Was you would go like this, and then you would have to go like that, you know, and that would give you your rotations, and then you would have to put a medium on there. And so, like, this is what you used to have to stick off the front of Mushroom, was something like this to get that to articulate properly. You know, I did double articulation here. This would be vertical. But, you know, that was like the size of what you'd have to have sticking off Mushroom, and it would ruin the look of it. Now, we just have this one block that I can pan up, down, left, right, zoom in and out, you know, and it's only 2 blocks. So I think they've been doing good work on that. It's just, you know, like anything else, it takes some time. Yeah. You know, so miniaturization definitely is a big thing. Pumps, yep. You know, like pumps, for example, like we start looking at pumps, like, you know, like you look at this. This is a 1x3. This isn't bad. You know, the large is insanity. Like people ask, why don't I put larges on things? One, the pipe is the limiting factor. So this pipe can do 75 liters per second. So if I can get 75 liters per second on this, there's no point in putting this. This uses up an enormous amount of space. That's a 3x, was it a 3x? So that's was that 1, 2, 3? Was it 2? 2. So that's 12 blocks. So this takes up 12 blocks. This takes up 3 blocks. I would like to see a pump that takes up 1x1 space, because there's a lot of applications where you don't need a very powerful pump. You just need a compact pump. And so, like, a lot of cooling systems, right? So, like, for example, Mushroom's cooling system has 2 of these in it. And it was a pain to get it in there because I needed 6 blocks for the pumps, and then I needed to go up and loop it over the ceiling. So there's, you know, 9 blocks. So, like, that really, miniaturization update would be fantastic. You know, and then, like, where I like to use this small one because it's a 1x1, if you had another 1x1, that would be awesome. See some other miniaturization things I would like to see. Like, for example, we have small ducted fan. Some other things, like quality of life things I like to see is like this. Put this in the wing here. So one of the issues with this is, yeah, this looks like it is a, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. So like if we look at this size-wise, oh my god, I can't drag blocks to save my life today. Ha! Oh, you suck, you block dragger, you. There we go. All right, so like here is, what is that? That's a 5 by 5. All right, so there's 25 blocks to put this in there. Now, theoretically, you could put in some corner pieces here, yay, but then it's even worse than that because likely you have to put that on there. So really, it's even bigger than that. It could be as big as, adding 4 more blocks. Now it's a 29 blocks to put one of those in. So for example, it would be cool if they made a very, very small ducted fan that maybe was essentially this big, So if they had a ducted fan that was this big, that's a 3 by 3, and then instead of just putting the port there, put a port on the side here, and then you could plug it in like that. That would really make it better. I would love to see some small jet parts, 1x1 jet parts. There's a mod for it, but I would love to see 1x1s. These are 3x3s, and so for example, I would love to make a jet APU like they have in real airplanes. So if there's a 1x1 and I could build a 1x1 turbine, I don't need a lot of power, and then we could build some small jets. So for example, like you talk about like these builds growing. Let's say this was a built 1x1 jet. So you have your fan, you have your compressor section, you have your turbine section. All right, there we go. There's our jet turbine. And then you put one torque output here. So we'll put a generator on there to show you the torque output. Okay, generator goes on there. There's my torque output. Okay, so there is my small 1x1 jet. Now, in order to cover that 1x1 turbine, you're going to need to go like this. So it still grows, but you can see it's still much more compact than that. So I can get an entire jet turbine into that space. So that's kind of nice. And then, of course, you could facade it to make it look a little bit narrower like this. So that would be something really nice to see. But again, I'm making all these recommendations. I'm not making them in the right place. If I actually want them in game, I need to go to the official bug tracker and make them. But these are like some things that would really, like you could start to see, like imagine the cool things you could build. I could turn Chickadee into a turboprop. Because that there you can see the compact nature of it. If I wanted to build this into a jet, if I wanted Chickadee to be a jet, you can see it would have to be, is that turbine? Turbine. Where's my intake? Here's my compressor. So like to build this into a turbine, I would have to do essentially the smallest, and then like we have to go medium if I want to do a torque output. And so that is the medium. That's as small as you could get it. And then if you want to put facade on it, which I do, you have to put the facade on it. And then in order to get the torque to come off, you're going to have to build it up even more to put on the torque outlet like this. So that you can see how that really grows in size. So by having some 1x1 parts, you could put on some turbine pieces like that and really make some actually like nice compact stuff. So that'd be really cool to see them do. Yeah, variable valves are so useful. Why are you using variable valves with a jet engine? I have no idea why you do that. Yeah, so like so much of this stuff is really very space consuming, and so they have done a good job of miniaturization. It definitely seems like any new parts they have out, they're kind of going towards more miniaturization. Like, part of the issues with steam is like if you want to use a steam piston, like say, like you want to use some of these small steam pistons, that's great. They're pretty compact, they're thin, which is nice. But then you still need a boiler, which is enormous. So like even if you wanted one steam piston, you need that boiler in there. So now you've pretty much made it so you can't have anything tiny. So like let's like maybe do a 3x3 by like even if it was that small, a furnace that big, like how small the smallest furnace? So like, let's say diesel furnace, I think smaller than coal. Like, you see how big the diesel is? Like, if you could have a smaller one that was a 3x3 platform, now you start to think, okay, gonna make some smaller stuff, do a 3x3 boiler. You know, a 3x3 boiler would be another piece that I think would be doable for them. 3x3 boiler, and of course, you make them less powerful, but, you know, have a 3x3 condenser, you know. And so now you can kind of see that we're getting to the point where, yeah, you could have a smallish ship, and if this was all the stuff you needed for your steam production, you can now put that in a small boat, and that's kind of nice. So I really like to see that. Yeah, so like you can test out the limited flow rates here. Let's see if I have my cooling tutorial. So like a big part of my cooling tutorial was to show that, like, you know, some people are wasting their space with these bigs, and like people are saying, oh, like, just do this, just do that, and like they weren't testing anything. And so I literally went through and tested this in the video. And so like these, here we go, we have large fluid pumps, 60-60. So we're getting 60 in, we're getting 60 out. All right, this is the small ones, okay, 60-60. So there's no point in having these big ones on this setup, because this is literally 60-60, and that one's 60-60. These take up 12 blocks, these take up 6 blocks. So there's no, or 12 blocks apiece. These takes up 3 blocks, these take up 12 blocks. There's no point in putting that on there. So you, like this, that's why I put this out there, is this really shows you why do this when that's equally as viable. And then you go over here and you say, okay, this one is an electric motor. Electric motors eat electricity like crazy. So this is 60-60. This eats electricity like crazy. So there's no point in putting this on there when that will be much more economical. Here's a 1. So here's a 1. It's at 44-44. So you're losing about 20, was it about 33%, somewhere in that neighborhood, 30%. You lose about 30% of your flow rate, but if your engine's not producing that much heat, you know, it really, if you notice, it doesn't actually give you any more space. There's really no more space. You gain 1, 2 blocks, 3 blocks, really, 4 blocks. So you do gain a little bit of space on this one, but you lose about 30% of the efficiency. Here's another one here. This one's up to 63. So you notice that by cutting out some pipe, we've upped by 3 liters per second. This one here is 2 electric motors. This one eats electricity like crazy, and this one is not stabilized, so that one's no good. Here's one with some gearing on there to test what does gearing do for me. We have stable 60-60, but this eats electricity like crazy, so why not go with that system? You know, because this one uses a hell of a lot more electricity than that, you know. And then here we have, this one is using the inline pump. I love the inline pump. People think I'm crazy for using this inline pump. Let's see, is it running? Clutch pressure 1. Is this one even running? Okay, no, this one I have to manually turn on. So let's turn this one on. You know, I keep getting told, oh, don't use that pump. Use the small motors. Okay, I'm getting 45-45. All right. This is incredibly compact, and it has the same performance as, it has better performance than this. So you see how much more compact that is than this. So it is, you know, yes, using the 2 smalls is better if you need 60 liters per second, but I don't need 60 liters per second. A lot of my cars, 45 is fine. And so you see this, if I'm trying to build a compact car, that's why I use this system. We have over here, what is this? This is, okay, so this is showing doubles. So we have dual pumps on here. We're getting 29-29. Why is it so bad? The piping. The piping made this nasty. Or these are inline. I think these are inline. So this is showing you stacking. Because a lot of people, they'll stack them and they'll wonder why they're not working. Because you're going through all the piping is causing loss. So you notice, doing a dual here, not only is it an absolute nastiness with piping, but because of all that piping, you lose efficiency. And then what is this one? This one is a different orientation, I think. and this one's 45, 45. So you can kind of see the difference in these, and so that kind of shows you what, what pumps are useful, and but that kind of just that, I brought this up because you're talking about the limitation of the pipes, and so it's like some of this limitation of the flow rate of the pipes, you're better off with some of these smaller pumps. There's no benefit to this at all. Like you see, there's no benefit to that at all. So it's better to run, if there are some benefits to these large pumps if you're going a very long distance, like you're pumping some fuel across your ship or some water ballast across your ship, or you're trying to like do fire nozzles, it will go further, the bigger pumps. So the bigger pumps are not useless, but for like an application where you're not going long distance, there's no point in using the bigger ones. So like this type of test bench, this is on the workshop. You can download this. It's very easy to visualize this and see what it's doing and understand that. And for example, let me see. I think I put on some electrical runs here. So like here, for example, like if you look right here, this one has these. So for example, like, which one's this? I'm trying to see which one's running this. Here, let's take off infinite electricity. So like this here is using, okay, so this here is these two electric pumps, right? We're getting, that's up to, okay, something shut off here. Okay, it doesn't matter because this engine doesn't need to be on. So you notice we're at 63, 63. Look how slow the electricity is going down. All right, we look over here. Let's see what's up with this. This one maybe. Okay, so if you look at these, I have this test screwed up. I have to try to remember how this works. But essentially, what this test was you can watch the video. I show that this one uses a hell of a lot less electricity than this, and they get, similar or worse results out of these. So it shows you that, yeah, you can save a block by using these impellers, but it eats so much electricity that your engine now is going to have to produce that electricity, so you're double wasting. It's better to use something like this. So just some interesting like that. Yep, so much of this is like just trying to, yeah, okay, yep. The last one eliminates pipes. So this one has 1, 2, 3 pipes. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4 pipes. So that's the test here, is the differentiation between the piping. But yeah, so like that little thing there, I think, you know what it probably is I have all the my engines shut off here. But yeah, so like this test shows you, some of that piping stuff. And then like, make a real quick test here. So it's important to understand, like, I go on Reddit and I go on some of the places, and like people are legitimately trying to help, but they didn't do any testing. And so they're just confusing people and making it worse, because like somebody's having a problem and they'll recommend something that is no way or shape or form the right solution. And it just makes it so that it's absolutely brutal for the person because it just wastes their time. So it's like, we set up a pump, and let's take a mead tank. And we'll take one medium tank there. We'll take one medium tank like this. All right, this one will have nothing in it. And then we'll pipe these. So there's another test you can run to see like empty fill speeds and to see how much you're actually getting out of it. Like, I'll make this even better here. We'll go like this. Try to do as direct as I can here. I'll keep equal pipe lengths on these. All right, and then we'll grab all of this. So the pipe lengths are equal on these. Are they? We're one short on the back, so I will increase it by 1. So this one I'll fix to make this equal. I want the test to be equal. All right, so we should have same pipes. So 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. Yep, so the pipes are the same here, and then we'll just do a toggle. All right, so keep infinite electricity on, it's fine. This one is empty, empty, full, full. All right. All right, so infinite electricity should be on. All right, we check flow rates on these. So they're short run, same distances. So that's is it full already? Ugh, it's too fast. I can't tell. You know, but you can see the flow rate got up to like 63 liters per second. And then so we'll check this one. We'll see what the top flow rate is on this. You know, so it hit the same 63 liters per second. So you're not getting it. So this one's faster. You notice that one lagged a little bit, but you know, that's kind of your benefit there is, you know, so you can see they're not really back before they limited it to 75 liters per second. We used to be able to get, I think, like 145 out of this one. You know, so we don't have that anymore. And so it's like, you know, it used to work. It used to be beneficial to have these. Not really anymore. I go with these. You know, and then I used to do some elaborate valve system. I still do it for fun sometimes, but you know, with a 2x3 space, you can essentially use these pumps instead of valves. But it's, you know, it's kind of interesting. This is why I like to do these tests, because you know, you go ask somebody for some of this without seeing their work, you have no clue if they know what's going on. You kind of need to see what the most modern standard is. You know, it's like somebody, you know, I keep getting told, like, you know, like when I was building a big man car, they're like, oh, use an impeller pump off the engine to do the cooling. The problem is this: one, it's a nightmare to pipe that. Two, it uses a lot of energy, and so I'm stealing energy from the engine to pump it. Where if I use that belt drive, it uses almost no energy. And so that's much better. And so it's like I've done the test. That's why, like, when some people will shout out something, I'm like, nope, not that, not that. It's like because I've done a lot of this testing. I certainly don't know everything, but I've done a lot of this testing. And so it's like here is a so like here I'll go. I don't know if you guys have seen this. You might find it interesting, but let's see. Let's go. No, excuse me. Let's go here. So there's a little test you can do for air cooling. So air cooling is one of the most space-efficient ways to do, for example, like airplanes, and then going fast. And so I did this quick test here with a train car. Let me get up there. All right, so simply we have, I have electric motors turning the engines, okay? And if we look here, I have an air-liquid heat exchanger, and I have a scoop on it, and I have a belt-driven pump. So they're both equal on that. They both have belt-driven pumps. The belt-driven pump is going the shortest possible loop to try to get us our liquid through, and then I have a fluid port output. This one has an electric pump. All right, and so what we can do here is, where is the throttle for the train? So if we get moving here, this is how you can test out air cooling. So again, flow rate is king with cooling. So if you look at the flow rates, we have air in is 28 liters, 28 out, and then our liquid's moving around. If we look at this one, we have air in is 25 liters. So you see this one is a little tiny bit better. All right. And so you can kind of decide what you want to do for that, if that's, you know, worthwhile to you to run it like that, you know. So is it worth this extra bit of space? I just fell off the train. Is it worth that extra little bit of space to? So there's two reasons why you'd want to use the electric pump. One, if it sits stationary. So if you're using a air cooling for a car, this system would work okay because as I'm sitting here, it's still taking air through, I believe. Let me double check it. Still should be taking air through. So if we look, see, this is still pulling air through and still cooling the engine while we're stopped. This one only pulls air through when we're moving. So notice the air is 0 on that, or pretty much 0. This one has 28 liters of air going through. As we gain speed, you'll see we start to get that. Now look, this is the other thing to consider too, is we're going full speed here. We're going 30 meters per second. Oh crap, I didn't mean to do that. How did I hit the home key? Okay. We're going 30 meters per second, and we're taking in 25 liters, okay? We're going 60 meters per second now. Let's get that slowed down. I'm trying to get us slow here. So now we're down. We're coming up on 50% of that. And if we look at that, we're still getting 25. So you need to understand that just going faster and faster and faster is not going to give you more cooling. It's not going to give you more air input. You're going to cap out at some point at a pretty slow speed. Look, like we're still going really slow. Let's see how slow we're going. We're going 8 meters per second, 7 meters per second, and we're still capped out at. So now we're starting to lose. So like at 10 meters per second, we're getting maximum airflow. So this tells you, okay, as long as my car is going over 10 meters per second, over 20 miles an hour, I'm going to get maximum cooling from my engine. So you don't need to go 60 to get maximum cooling. You could go 20. And so that's important information, as you can imagine, right? You know, and then you could also completely stop this. And you can turn the wind up. And you can see how that reacts with the wind. So right now we have a tailwind. Okay, now we have a headwind. And so with this wind all the way up, we're getting 25. So you can see that's, so for like if you had a stationary generator, if the wind is up, it'll be cooling. So like little stuff like this, it's always good to do these little test platforms to actually know what the hell's going on. That's why I like to do these tutorials is, you know, it's much easier for me to like, if somebody's like, oh, just use this pump to cool your engine and this, I can just put in a link to the cooling tutorial and be like, just watch the video, dude. You're gonna know more than, you know, because, you know, it's my philosophy with tutorials again is instead of spending 4 hours pulling your hair out getting frustrated, spend an hour to watch the tutorial. Like I go into great detail about it, and then after that hour you now know everything you need to know to go out, you know. And that's, again, it's learned from me doing flight instructing and from, you know, all my flight training and my training in the airlines and everything else is, you know, there are things that work and there are things that don't work. And, you know, going out and just, like, trying a bunch of stuff for, like, 9 hours is going to frustrate you. You know, learning comprehensively, doing some scientific testing really helps. Yep. That's a good point there, Thermite. Pressure, not flow rate, is a good way to put it. So we'll see what happens with the new update. Likely, with the new update, that is probably helpful with pressure. For example, like, I think if you go down to a certain depth, the small pumps will fail earlier than not. So can't do an easy test with that. We actually probably could do an easy test with that, but I won't do it. But yeah, so this was pretty good. Let me see where we're at here. I'm trying to think what I want to work on, if I want to take a break or what. But yeah, so that can go in. I can change that attachment system. So I'm glad that the new helipad is nice. I'm happy with that. I think that was a useful addition. So the drones can go up front now. The drone control room is right under that. I'll add the drone controller in there, likely. And then that way I can control Mushroom from there. Let's save it. And then I can work on that a little bit, trying to get some of the stuff fixed. Let's pull Chickadee. Chickadee's working well. Couple things here and there with Mushroom, but at the end of the day, I think a lot of testing in the career build series is going to be helpful. If you need to test flow rates, check the sea breeze. Oh, okay, yeah, let me check that. Wait, okay. Let me see. I think I remember where it is. Did you put it in help, or where did you stick it? Where's the sea breeze? Can you stick a fresh link in build help? And I'll go look at it right now. Help and review. Okay. I'll check review. If it's already in there, I can check it. Let me see. That's where I saw it. Sea breeze. Okay. Yep. I knew I saw it somewhere. Let's go over to the sea. So you having a cooling problem with this, you said? Okay, let me look at it. All right. So we have, that's exhaust outlet. So that is, what's that? Air pump out? What's that? Is that just a bilge pump there? This one? Okay. So you could just try a direct system. I'll check flow rates in a second. So you have inlet, outlet, liquid, liquid, going through single there. This is going through this way, looping that way, copy. Identical on that side, in, out. Let's try something. I'm going to test it as is, and then I think I might have a notion for you of what might help it a little bit. I like the fishing rods are good. Caught a big one. I don't want to review it too much, seeing that it could be on the review channel too, so. So what do I need? Is there a breaker somewhere? Kind of direct me a little. Open fuel valves and flip breakers, engine bay. Copy, copy, copy. Oh, this is interesting. I like that. That's an interesting feature. That's neat. I like that. Again, I'm gonna try not to review this sucker because it could go on the review. What's this? I'm just kind of looking around a little bit. I'm trying not to review it too much, seeing that it's on the review channel. So I want to review it then. All right. So valvage, anti-cartel cabinet. Okay. Direct me here. In engine bay. Where else do I have to go in here? Flip valves. Oh, right here. Okay. Master power, backup batteries, fine. Drive engine systems on. Generator on. I do like a fly bridge. Is that generator going off constantly? Shut the generator off here. I don't need the generator. There we go. Alright, engine's up. That's all I care about right now. I'm not doing a full review. I'm just trying to get this checked. Alright. Generator valves are... Okay. Generator valves are closed. Okay. I see right there, generator valve copy. Yeah, I like these engines. These are cool with the valves, and I think, yeah, I'm trying not to review it. All right, so is this sucker on? Looks like it's on. It looks like it's sitting at 2 RPS. Why? Oh, there probably is a command button, isn't there, for flybridge, not flybridge. Let me grow this. I really like this though. That's cool here. Okay, so yeah, there's probably a command control on them. Okay. So we can do a really quick test here. I have a notion of one thing that will help your cooling system out is, all right, so what I want to check is this loop here. So we're going 44 in, 44 out. So this is stable. All right, so one notion I had that we might be able to speed this up. I have to check these. Okay, so these are a little bit higher. These are at 56. That's at 44. Let's try this. So my first thought was this. So I'm just going to dump it somewhere here. So I would go in and do this. So let me find a hole here. Okay, let's do this. How the hell did I get that? I pressed fluid. I didn't click on the fluid board, I guess. All right, let's do that. And let's run this up. I usually, if I make some edits, I just do them in pink so they're easy to see. Oh, get out of there, you devil. Okay. I'm in the wall. Yeah, new players having problems with this. They're like, oh, I keep rotating the block. It's a bug with the game, and they're blaming the game for it. No, it's you're sitting in a block. If you're in a block, it's trying to click on this block, and it can't rotate. So you have to move out of the block. And then, you know, so it's not a game bug. I keep seeing, like, it's getting frustrating sometimes when I see, like, some players complaining that it's a game problem when it's something they're doing. And it's like, dude, it's something you're doing, which is fine. But, you know, it's not the game's problem. It's something they're doing. All right, so the reason I'm doing this is you notice it's right at the top of the water line. And so that helps with... that will often help with your flow rate. I need to see, though, if it's doing it. So let's see. Okay, look at your flow rate now. You're at 43, 43 before. You're at 66, 66 now. So that was all water pressure. So by trying to spit out at the bottom, you're fighting the water pressure. This is not fighting the water pressure. You've gained 50% extra flow rate by doing that. So that is a big deal. That's 50% extra flow, so the likelihood is that is helping you out with your cooling problems. So I would do some testing with that. That is, so now you notice those are pissing water out the back above the water line, so they're only fighting air pressure. So you see that's a pretty small correction, and it gives you, you know, 50% flow rate change. So that is big. Look at that, we're at 70 now. We're up to 70 liters per second. We were down to 43, you know, so let's see. Let's see, what do we have here? 43 divided by 70 is 61%. You know, so that is a 40-something% increase. 39 and change, a little less than 39, 38 and change % increase. So your flow rate now on your salt side is 40% better than it was, and you notice it didn't take that much change. So you could put it wherever you want, but it needs to go out above the water line. So like something like that is like that's why I like doing these little help videos. Is it's like little things that takes a lot of practice, a lot of experimentation to kind of figure out how important these things are, you know. And so that was. You know, something like that could really help you out. You know, that's 40% efficiency right there added by you know, and that doesn't ruin the look of your build, I don't think. It didn't, like, I didn't have to cut anything really. I cut 2 holes and moved some stuff, and you notice that's much better there flow rate wise. So try that and see how it cools. Do you have a temperature somewhere? Temp right here, 20. These are nice. I like these gauges. These are cool. I'm trying not to review it. So yeah, you see we're not gaining temp very fast. You know, you still may overheat here, but you're up to 70. You're up to 70 liters per second. Your cap out at 75. See, like right there, we hit 73. So you're like, this is about the best you're gonna get on this one system. So like, if you had struggle with this still, you'd probably have to add more cooling, which isn't the end of the world because you could probably add like an air system on top. You could add some other tiny little things that would probably help it, but I would say with this, that's 40% better cooling potentially. I would check this out because this has a good chance of solving it or at least improving it. You know, because the other thing you need to ask yourself too is, you know, this is a question too. Is like, say that how many minutes do you say you could run this before it overheat? I'm trying to see. Oh, look, David did the math for me. I did it in my head. I was like 38 and change. Oh, no, I did it on the calculator. I did do it on the calculator. Never mind. I'm trying to see. How long did you say this will run before it overheats? Before? So 35 kilometers, yeah. So about 15 minutes. So like, let's say this gets you an hour and it overheats. All right, that's not the end of the world because likely, let's say like, are you gonna run this for an hour? Maybe, but let's say you run this for an hour and then you have to do this, the dreaded pull the throttle back to 80%. You know, so where's your speed on this? Speed, knots, 35 knots. So we're 30, let's say we get around 30 knots at 78%. If that saves your temp, you know, let's see. Just watching the temp. It will keep climbing until it gets up in the 90s anyway, but like, let's go full throttle and we'll see where this goes. I can leave this running in the background too, but I would say that's going to do a lot because that's, you know, about a 40% increase in flow rate on your salt side. That's a big increase. And I did both sides. So that's, you know, that should help you out. Gotta see if there's any weirdness here. Yeah, but that should help, I'd say. And then, what's your gear ratio here? Let's see. You have full clutch? I don't think you do. No, you do, huh? What's that running? 8? That's what's that gonna be? 2.1. It's either 9.5 or 1.8. So it's a little bit more than that. So it's got to be a 5.2. 5.2, 2.5. Yeah. So that's a 5.2 gear ratio, and that's your reverser. Copy. So, yeah, looks like a 5.2 gear ratio. So we're up to 60 degrees, so not bad. So we'll see if this levels out. Look at these dreaded things. The old stuff. And then these are bilge pumps, the reds, I assume. Yeah, some people were complaining about this in last week's update. That, for example, like the devs were explaining, again, that, you know, if the, you know, it's funny, if this game was, of course, 5.2 and 10.4 are the same. 5.2 is a reduced 10.4. Yeah. Yeah. But, like, so the way these bilges work is, like, say there's water in here, this will suck water out. And that's how they're going to keep it. And so a bunch of people are complaining. It's like, dude, so many people are afraid that this new update is going to break all their builds. By doing it this way and continuing doing it this way, it doesn't break the builds. And that's what people are not grasping with this, is keeping it this way, make sure it doesn't break the builds. And that's important, you know. Yes, 10.4, good buddy. We get it. Yep, 5.2 in a reverse. Yep. But do you know what 10.20 is? Do you know what 10.20 is? What's your 10.20? Trying to make sure I don't hit anything here. Also trying not to review the build. likely it'll come up for a review. Some cool, some good paintwork in here. I never get to this level of detailing. I just like, I want to move on to the next build. That's my issue, is I'm like, oh, you should have more detail. I was like, I just don't want to. Oh, the foldable ladder. Look at that. I'm not going to review it, but yet. Pull that marlin in. This is really cool, though. This is a feature. I really dig this. That's cool. That's a good way to hide them. That's, you know, you have that in a lot of boats and stuff. One thing I really love is, like, looking at boats and motorhomes, is they do such cool stuff with where they hide everything. Like, I used to watch this couple that bought, and they lived on a sailboat. And it was really cool because it, you know, you see all these areas where they, like, really, like, every bench has storage under it because it's a tight living space, you know. It's really cool. 1020 is, where are you? So 1020 is like my, like, when somebody says, what's your 20? That means, where are you? Oh, let's try not to hit this. So, like, if somebody says, what's your 20? You know, that means, where are you? And so your 1020 is your location. So you'd say my 1020 is, just to the, northeast of the volcanic island, passing, you know, I'm trying not to cheat on the map, but I know where I am anyway. Passing the Cavern of Thales, you know, that would be your 1020. You know, 10.4 is I read and understand you, so it's like a copy, or yeah, it's like a copy. So say you know, 10.4 good buddy means I understand what you said. That was ladder. All right, so we'll go down. We'll check temp. Do we have a temp gauge up here? Yeah, we do. 78. Yeah, so we should be able to see if this is gonna overheat. But that as you can imagine, that's probably a pretty good improvement on that. Probably pretty good. Often they'll go up in the 90s, and that's where they'll, like, if you have it cold enough where it's not going to overheat ever, it'll still usually go up in the 90s, and that's where it'll stabilize. So you can't stop your test. Like, you can't be like, oh, it's still climbing, it's going to overheat. You got to wait until it gets in the 90s. Oh, nice. We have this too. Maps and charts. Frag. Fraser. I would love them to do a decoration update. Plates, silverware, glasses. Like, you know, we can do some cool stuff with this, and I love seeing people, like, what they use for, like, their sinks and stuff like that. But it'd be really cool if we got some of those things. It would be nice to have some of those parts to put in our ships. And, like, a decoration thing. Yeah, let me just see where we're at here. You can definitely tell the temp rise is it's still going, but I think it's going to probably be all right. I don't know how far we've gone. Let me see. What do you say, 35 kilometers, whatever a kilometer is? Some sort of weird, some sort of weird metric, non-maritime. My brain doesn't know what it. You mean about half a nautical mile? So that's 17 kilometers there. We've gone. So we traveled about 17. So it's probably, if it does stabilize, it will be up in the 90s somewhere. So I'm trying to get it there and see what it does, because we're almost there. There's no point in killing it early. Does the seats rotate? Oh, it's a regular seat. That's the other thing I'd like to see them do. Add, they should be adding seat controls to everything. Add seat controls to these seats and add them to padded seats, because, like, sometimes you want to put, Yuli build did it in the Challenge Foxtrot build where you controlled via the panel, and I liked it, you know, but it's also nice to be able to, like, a padded seat that's a too-wide seat. I would love to see them add control to that. So this has steering. Do I have to hit a button to control from the flybridge? Reverse. Anchor magnets. If it's on the build review, it's on the build review. So you don't want it reviewed, don't put it on there either. Oh, do you have a... What was that? What did I do? Stop for a second. Why did it stop? Do you know why it stopped? I didn't hit something, did I? Alright, we're up in the 90s now. We're still not overheated, but we'll see what it does. What's your RPS? Don't have it on there. It's right here. 8. 8's not too bad either. Have you tried running a 3-to-1? Is 3-to-1 causing you to go slower? Because the other test is this, too, is I put... so there are a couple overheat protection systems I put on before. One of them you could easily integrate on this is you have it for... essentially what you do is you do a delta. And you say if... You don't do an if statement, but you say, essentially, if the temperature is greater than 110 degrees and the delta is positive, decrease thrust. And so what it would essentially do is if the temperature is over 110 and the delta still shows the temperature is rising, it would go like this. It would go tap, and it would tap down the throttle, and it would keep tapping it until one of the conditions or the other is met. So either you go under 110 or the delta shows a negative, which means you would be losing temp. So either way, it's going to protect you. So like it will keep your engine from catching on fire, and it will automatically reduce the throttle as much as necessary to get you from overheating. So that's another system you can easily add because, for example, if we're going 50 knots, like let's say it slows you down to 30 knots. Is it the end of the world? No. It does it complete, you know, your engine's not on fire, you had to slow down, it automatically slows you down, so it lets you, it's good AFK stuff, in case you're not paying attention. So we'll see where we get here. How far are we off that? 20 kilometers? That's a big motor for this boat, too. Let me see where we're at here. 1022, yeah. Yeah, a bunch of them I used to know. My dad was a cop, so I used to know some of them, but we don't use really 10 codes in flying. I was thinking the other night, I can't wait till we get to Build Challenge Quebec. Quebec is Q. It's pronounced Quebec because a lot of them, you say them in a certain way so that, you know, they don't get confused with other words. So it's like Quebec for Quebec. Yeah, no problem there, Aaron. I got you. Oh, okay, so it's occupied base. Gotcha, gotcha. That's why it stopped. That's why it stopped. It was trying to. It was going to that. Gotcha. That makes sense. All right, so we have an over temp sensor here going on for over 100. It looks like. I'm gonna let it get up to like 110, and then I'm gonna tap it down. And I want to see how slow we have to go to maintain that. Keep it from overheating. It probably is going to overheat, but it's like, it's close to not wanting to overheat. We'll see how close it gets. It's got to be close to not wanting to overheat. All right, let's start. We'll do a little tap down here, so I'll give it one tap. We're at 98%. Still climbing. 94%. That really slowed it down. And we've lost about 4 knots. Let's go to 90. So we've lost 10%. We put our throttle down 10%. We're crawling there. We've only lost 7 knots. barely climbing anymore. Let's go down to 85%. Bingo. 85. You could still go 85, probably a little bit lower than that. Let's go to 80%. Maybe that will get us under. All right, you're losing temp at 80%. So that's not bad. Whoa! It's not paying attention. So that's not bad, actually. You know, you're losing temp at 80%. And so you're still going 35 knots. So it's not the end of the world. A little bit of extra cooling might get you under there where you can run 100% the whole time. Like, you're not far from getting this under control. So, like, you really aren't that far from getting this under control. I'm trying to think what you have for nodes here. Like, you might be able to add an air intake. Where's your exhaust? I'm curious if this will work. Here, let's bring it back to workbench. So, like, yeah, I'll show you, like, that temp protection system. Like, it's super simple. It's, like, just... Like, you could do something like this, where you go... I'm mostly just concerned with what's in here. So, like, you would say... Temp. This would go to the throttle. And then you would go, essentially... you could do an and is fine. So you'd essentially take an and you would go, if temp is greater than 110, and the delta is greater than 0, then I would probably put a blinker on here just to keep it from hitting it too hard. Might want a smaller duration than that, so blink on for a fraction and then blink off for, say, a second. And like something like that could just essentially, that would automatically reduce your thrust down to whatever it needed to be to stop the overheat. And so likely the delta would go to 0, and that would let you stay, you know, at max thrust. So that's just a good way to do it, because what it's going to do is it's going to take a little while for the temperature to come down. So if you just had this part and you didn't have the delta, what's going to happen is it's going to bring it all the way back down to idle until it won't bring it to idle, but it might bring it down to 20% throttle, because that's how long it takes for the temperature to get back below 110. And so you wouldn't want that. But the delta is what's going to happen is, you know, it wouldn't be this. I have to look at this a second, but essentially, if it's greater than 110 and the delta is greater than 0, it's then going to tap it down, and then what's going to likely happen is the delta is going to go below 0. It's going to start to lose temp, and then this will stop, and so that will allow you to, like, go as soon as you hit like around 80%, it will then reduce your thrust down to where you need to be. So that's a temp protection system that works. The other thing you do is this maybe might work. I'm not sure if this works or not, but what you could do is let's see. I don't know if this works or not, so this would be a good test. But let's say, like, don't do that. Do this. Like, say you did something like this. And then you did an air. I'm not sure if this works. I've been meaning to test this out myself. So that's not air. Where the hell is it? Go like this here. So one thing you could test is something like this would be interesting. And so is this air out? Air out. So you'd air out like this. and do this as a secondary cooling system. So you'd have air and liquid cooling like that. And essentially you would tie these in. I have yet to test this myself, so I don't know if it works. The other thing potentially too is with this right next to the engine, is the engine passively heating your temp system? So could you move that a little bit? Who knows? So I'm curious if something like this works, and then you'd plumb the liquids through again, another set. And so I wouldn't do them in line, but like you could add them, for example, to another node. I'm curious if that, how much exhaust flow is going through, if that's going to give you enough airflow to pull it. And so that might cool down the air and essentially trade some of the heat out into the exhaust, which you're venting anyway. Another thing that they do have on boats that might work is I've been using heat sinks recently. So throw a heat sink in the water. You know, that's another thing. You could run a heat sink through the floor and, you know, pull the water through there. You know, run another heating loop, another cooling loop. And what I do is I inlay them into the bottom of the ship, because you'll actually have heat sinks on the outside of the ship. You'll have pipes that do that. So those are some things you could kind of think about. Yeah. Oh, somebody's asking about property numbers. Yeah. So like property number is just showing you, where did I put it? Yeah. So like a property number, when I put a property number in here, it lets me put in, okay, this is the overheat max temp, 110. 110's too close. We'd update that. Then what I do is I don't have to go all the way in the microcontroller and find it. I just click on it and I can set it right here, 108. Okay. And that way I don't have to go in there and hunt for it. I just go, okay, 10, 105. You know, and so I can more quickly do that. And it's like I do that with my p-values now. If my p-value is a little bit too high, it's 0.18, I might go 0.15. I don't ever have to go in there. So that's why I do those properties. And then like a drop-down menu is, I've been using a lot of those recently. So you do like a property drop-down is good for conversions. So like say you wanted to convert from speed. I don't want to add the nodes, but let's say, so a constant number here. Let's say this is your speed coming in, and you say, okay, I want to make it so people can run whatever speed they want. And then you would have your output of wherever the speed's going, your gauge. And then you go in here, you do speed. And then you would go, option 1 would be meters per second. You go in here, you'd say it's x times z. And then you go in here, your meters per second would be times 1. And then you'd have MPH would be, what's that? That's a division. So it'd have to be division. So it could be division, but you could do divided by 1. And then this one would be divided by 2.28. And then you could do knots. And this would be divided by 1.94. And then when you go back in here, if you wanted to change it, you can put your speed in knots, or you can put your speed in MPH, or you can put your speed in meters per second, and that would do the conversions for you. So that's why you'll see that sometimes. Let's see. They do release heat to the enclosed area, but it's not as efficient. So it's better to run them outside. Heat sinks are nice because you can inlay them in the deck. So for example, like you could take this and you could inlay this and it still will seal. So like I'll do this on some of my ships. I'll inlay them like that. And then if you come in here, you'll notice it's somewhere in here. It's back here. And so there it is there, and then you can pull it up and port it. So like you could actually like run 2 heat sinks if you needed to, and cool it off like that as well. And it doesn't, like, you know, it's in the ship. This is underneath. That's one nice thing with ships is you can't see underneath, and so that helps. But yar. But hopefully that's helpful. Like, you know, you got a 40% increase in cooling. It's still overheating. Let's try one thing real quick. Curious about this. So what's your top speed's 50, right? Okay. So you were at 8, you're down to 5. And so, yeah, that's cutting your speed by quite a bit. So that's, yeah, that's dropping a considerable amount of your RPS. Let's see. So it's 40%. That's a 40% RPS drop there. And you're down 13 knots. So let's see. So where are you at? A 5.2? So somewhere in between those would probably get you a little bit closer. So like if you're willing to go down like 45, you might be able to lick some of these problems. Let's see, what are we at here? 16, so you're at 20 last time. So let's say if we can get it up to 18. The one thing you could do is this. I don't like to slip the clutch, but essentially you can use the slipping clutch to get you... You can use a slipping clutch as essentially to refine your gear ratio. Right here, okay. So let's see. See if we can't get to 18 RPS. I'm interested in that. We picked up a little speed on that, not a ton. I'm just interested to see what the gear ratio, what the final gear ratio turns out to be. All right, that's a little bit too little. So it needs somewhere between 1 and 90. So like maybe try like a 95. So we lose a little. We gained a hair on that. We gained a little bit of RPS. I just need a little bit more. It's like you were topping out at 50. Excuse me. Pardon me. Get up there, you. So essentially a slipping clutch, all it's doing is refining gear ratios because we have to jump from a 2.5 to a 3. And so when I'll eventually do the math here, we'll figure out exactly what we're getting once we get down there for a gear ratio. But essentially it's letting you refine that gear ratio. Let's see where we're at now. So we're at, we actually went down. So this is still overburdening the engine. So that's going to make us a little bit slower. So you might actually get a little bit of speed going the opposite direction, go down from 90. But like this is the way you could get between that. So like for example, where are we at now? So we have a 5.6. So let's see. So 16 divided by 16.8 divided by 5.64. Close enough. So that's a 2.97 gear ratio. So by using this clutch, by pulling some clutch off, we've reduced it from a 3 to a 2.97. And then what were we running last time? We were running like a 5.6. It was like 17.8, something like that. Divided by 5.6 was a 3.17 gear ratio before. So like you can kind of play with the clutch as well to get the intermediary gear ratios, because we're jumping from a 2.5 to a 3. That lets you get in between those gear ratios by slipping the clutch essentially. Yeah, we'll see you later there, FS. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, you could also slip. I tend to, yeah, no, in game it doesn't matter. You're not gonna burn up your clutch, so you could go ahead and slip on that too. But let's say like, um, let's try something here. So let's keep it as a 3-1, and let's go down to like an 8 on the clutch, and let's see what the performance is on that. Just like do like an 8.5. So we'll pick up a little speed on this one. So like there's 40. So that's 17.4. 17.4 divided by 5.85. 5.85 is, that's a 2.97. So like you can see, with a little bit of slippage here, we can change up the ratios, and you can get the ratios fine-tuned. But I think, the way you had it before was perfect. 5.2. I think you just need a little bit of cooling help. It's not much, and you'll be good. Like, definitely get that up and over here. That was increasing your flow rate by quite a bit. This was, like this is down 43. It's up to 70. Just pushing it out the back there. You have a little bit of space for some more cooling in here too. Like here, you try this. Like you're already taking up this space in here, so like you could probably lick this cooling pretty easily doing this. Here, let's play with something here real quick. Let's cut. I should move this one first. I'm not gonna test it. I'm just gonna mostly kind of see where it's at space-wise. So you could probably do quite a bit without changing too much of the look. Just adhere to where I want you to there, guy. There we go. So like that is good there, and then like you can move that air off, hook that up there, and then you can get a, it's not gonna have much space there, and then you can put a second set of something for cooling in here. Like for example, you go, where are we at here? Probably say here, and then run a pair of heat sinks or something like this. Maybe like that. And like you're not really changing the footprint all that much of your ship. And then you could go, and again, I would keep these pipes as short as possible, so I'd go like this. And then this one's going to be longer. And then I would do manifold. something like that. And then that has an internal cooling loop there. And then all you have to really do to hook this one back up is you would move this one, you'd put the air there, so you could even leave the valve where it is, and or the fuel, whatever that is, fuel. And stick the fuel right here. And then re-loop this one. You know, stick that back to the fuel, and then you put a manifold offset here. And now you've got 2 loops going in the same space, and it just looks like a plumbed up engine. It doesn't look terrible. And then you have a second hole cooling loop under here. You know, that's pretty, I think, pretty reasonable space-wise there. And it's not too bad. But something like that, I think that would probably get you up to 50. That would probably keep you at 50 knots and not have any overheat problems. So that'd be kind of nice if speed's important to you there. So, yeah. So I think that's pretty good there. All right, guys, I think I'm going to take a break. Thank everybody for watching. Yeah, that was fun working on your build there. So hopefully you get a little bit out of that. Thank you all the subscribers and patrons. If you're interested in any of that, you can go ahead and subscribe and patronize if you like. Let's see. Career Build Series should be out tomorrow. I'm probably not going to have time to stream. I have to do a bunch of doctor stuff tomorrow. So Career Build Series will be out tomorrow. I got to edit that up. And I will see you guys later. So thanks for hanging out.